been a month and a half since my last Animal Crossing video, and a lot has changed in my town. Not surprising when the last one was on day 10 a month and a half ago. I didn't even have terraforming in that last video. I thought I'd unofficially end off this series by giving you an island tour. Before jumping in, I'd like to tell you guys that I stream Monday and Thursday every week on Twitch at 8 p.m. Central. Follow me over there, and if you find yourself enjoying this video in particular, don't forget to leave a like, comment, all that good stuff. It helps. It just helps. With that done and out of the way, I thought I'd show you guys my island plan. Initially, I had an idea for a raised walk area running the entirety of the north side of the island. If you've ever been to the Grand Canyon, they have lookout points that run along the edges of the canyon. That was the inspiration for this cliff area. Once I had that idea, I started to draw out a plan for the entire island. I had no idea what to do with the rest of the island, but figured drawing it out would give me some ideas. A big consideration for this first draft was the fact that there are some fish that can only spawn in rivers at cliff height, so I wanted to have as long of a river on a cliff as I could, so I had as much room as possible to find those fish. As I drew out the layout, I decided the raised area should be a park area and gave it a pond. Ponds were another thing I wanted to be convenient to fish in. That led to 2 more ponds on the south side flanking the airport for easy access to fishing in ponds. That didn't pan out. The placement of the orchard and the housing stayed pretty much the same though. Housing went from a forest, living type thing to a more developed look, but always stayed on the east side of the island there. The museum and shops floated around, but always stayed near the plaza. I wanted everything to be pretty centralized. In general, throughout the entire process, my main goal was to have a more modernish island, but not so much that the entire thing lost the island feel. That's why I have a lot of open space and park-like areas. That was a bit of the process to get to this point, so let's get into the tour. Exiting the airport, you're greeted with some azaleas and a couple cherry trees. Cherry trees is a subtle way to show that my island's native fruit is cherries. At this point, what your native fruit is isn't a big deal, but I figured it was a nice detail anyway. Off to the left are some extra orange roses I'm using to breed for blue roses. And off to the right, I have my collection of hybrid flowers I have. There's still a few I don't have, clearly, but we're working on it. The blue rose is that ultimate goal, though. Back at the path, at this point, you can either go right to the residential area, which we'll get to, or left to the welcome area. Initially, I had a fountain here, but decided to instead show off a couple of my lilies of the valley and golden roses. The flowers seemed like the bigger flex. Moving south from here is my boardwalk area. I basically shamelessly ripped this off wholesale from a friend's town. It isn't quite finished yet because I don't quite have enough items that match a theme for all these stalls. That's actually a theme for a lot of the areas on my island. So far I have a pizza stall, a fortune teller stall, the start of an ice cream stall. Hopefully I can get a few more items here to finish this out soon. Back to the plaza, to the west is my walkway to the museum. I have this empty fenced off area that I'll eventually put some rare flowers in. Some green mums, blue roses. I've seen plenty of other islands use fossils outside the museum, and I took that as far as I could, with full T-Rex and Triceratops skeletons. The most prototypical dragon? The most stereotypical dinosaurs. Then the museum itself, museum.
That's all, folks.
Then the museum itself, the best museum in any Animal Crossing. It's great just to spend time in. The path continues off to the right into the plaza. Across the way is my residential and shopping area. Before getting there though, there's this area for more rare flowers. Just up here is a vending area. Gotta have those late night snacks. All the way to the south are Nook's Cranny and the Able sisters. Pretty sure my Nook's Cranny upgraded on the first day possible to upgrade with all the stuff I was buying. I tend to just buy everything I don't have in my catalog, even if I don't think I'll ever actually want it, because you never know. Moving along, we get to my villagers' houses. I initially had them all super close together, much like an apartment village or something, but ultimately I decided I want my villagers to have yards. I don't have much of them filled out though. Again, I don't have all that many items that match themes anymore. I'm also having a hard time coming up with a theme that matches the villagers' personalities. Maybe I'll just fill them with empty flowers at this point. Currently my villagers are Sherry, Sheldon, Cube, Truffles, Jacques, Carlos, Rex, Rodney, Julian, and knocks. Off to the right is this path that follows the river. I have these trees on the other side of the river. I was really going for a resort type feel where the resort is on the one side and on the other side is unkept wilds. These houses here don't have yards and are generally my least favorite residents. Least favorite being relative. With the exception of 2, I invited them all to live here because I like them. I'm very discerning with my villagers. At least that's what I tell myself. I've considered moving the shops further south and adding another yarded row and giving all my villagers a yard, but that's a lot of time to move them all, and
ain't nobody got time for that.
Moving past the museum again, eventually I'll have some cliffs at the end of this pathway that hides a power plant type area. But right now, this entire swath of land is just used for flower breeding. Once I get that blue rose though, it'll probably all end up going away. Don't know what I'll use it for, but we'll see what happens. Moving up the cliff, we come to the park. I'm using some of this space for flower breeding. You need a lot of space for that. It's kind of obnoxious. It's pretty sparse up here. I could probably do a lot more if I wanted, but I intentionally wanted to keep it sparse to try and keep that island feel. This is supposed to be a way to get away and de-stress. Having too much going on goes against that, in my opinion. The heart-shaped pond was always the plan. I don't know why I made it heart-shaped. That isn't usually my style, but heart's what I went with. Moving up to the second tier, this is my lookout platform / stargazing area. This is the area that was inspired by the Grand Canyon and other places that have lookouts, like oceanside cliff piers. I always like going to those. This is where my island started, and I love spending time here. I don't spend that much time here, but that's what I wrote. That's what I'm going with. Back to the first tier, and we'll head across the river. The longer river goes along the cliff all the way to the other side of the island. There's all that space for finding those fish, cliff fish. Halfway across this is an incline down to more flower breeding and the orchard. Got all these flower beds. This is for mass breeding of non-roses for those rare colors. Along the river here, I just added a few garden pieces, some places to sit. Someday I'll have this more like a garden you walk through once I have all the flowers I'm after. Now the orchard, not much to say. It's an orchard. I think the trees are a bit too dense, probably don't need that many. I don't collect them to sell at all, so it seems kind of silly to have so many. Anyway, up the incline, walk north, across the bridge. This is my obligatory Zen Garden. I don't know why everyone has one of these, probably just because it's a good idea. Wanted to have this feel of an area being hidden in a bamboo forest. Kind of reminiscent of the first level of the Shadow Warrior reboot, if you ever played that. The garden is pretty stock. I have this little memorial scene down on these rocks. Seemed like a perfect thing to go with the Zen area. Heading south out of the Zen Garden is my campsite. Pretty basic, still, it doesn't get much use. Down the incline we arrive at my house. The entire thin stretch on this side is all for my yard. There's not much here because I recently moved my house, and again I'm missing some pieces that I really want to use for the yard I ultimately create. Still not sure I won't move it to the complete opposite side of the island, where all that flower breeding is going, but we'll see. Since we're here, a quick house tour. Living room. Kitchen. Bathroom. Garage. Bedroom. Turnip storage. Done. That's a house tour. And that's my island. Still a work in progress. They always are. I've seen so many good islands on YouTube and such, but most of them always feel super cluttered and claustrophobic. For mine, I wanted something more open and reminiscent of the island that it is. I think I've done that pretty well. Hopefully you agree. Actually, leave a like if you agree. Hell, leave a like since you clearly liked it by virtue of making it this far. Maybe subscribe to. Comments, ideas for these areas that I don't have full ideas yet for. Do whatever feels right. This isn't necessarily the last Animal Crossing video. I know they're putting out updates with new things to do all the time, so I'll definitely be streaming more of those. Again, streaming Twitch every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central, so follow me over there. And if the need ever arises, I'll definitely be posting more videos here on YouTube. I think that's about it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again in the next one.